Hi everyone, Alex here. Today we're going to continue with our HVAC series. This time is a solar study. Let's get to it. Alright everyone, put your sunglasses on. I'm taking you on a sunny field trip. Alright, so if you have Google Earth Pro, the desktop application installed in your computer, you should have this bar right here. And if you click on this button here with the little sun, then this scrolling bar gets enabled. And what this allows you to do is to see the location of the sun in reference to the Earth at different dates and times. So if I zoom in a little bit in our location, Miami, Florida, and I scroll a little bit, we can see that like at 4 a.m. we have no sun whatsoever. But then around 6 something, we start getting a little sun. See that sunrise right there. And then if we keep scrolling, the Earth rotates, and then by about 8 p.m. I get my sunset, right? I can see that the exact sunset time is 8:16 p.m. Let's turn this off temporarily, and let's just zoom into our location. Hi everyone, this is Alex with BIMitUp, where we help you with professional training and coaching in mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection systems, and Autodesk platforms like Revit and AutoCAD MEP. Let's get started, and let's study which buildings we think could cast a shadow in our building. For example, this adult care center is not a concern, it's pretty low, but this guy here is a high-rise. So this will probably cast a shadow on our building. Let's see what else. These little houses are not a concern. This over here not too tall either. Maybe this guy here could have an effect. But to know for sure, we're going to use that tool. So what we can do is we can orient it onto a plan view. So if we activate our tool again, and then we scroll about the day, we can see that this is sunrise right there. And you can already tell, you see these two corners here? That's probably this building casting a shadow on it, right? So it will have a little bit of an effect. And that's why I decided that I'm going to model this building, right? So let's see what happens at sunset, about 8 p.m. So I do see some shadows, but I think it's just the horizon, right? I don't think there's any other building that's going to have an effect. Either way, I did model this guys here just for practicing massing elements, and the tall building on the east, which is going to have a little bit of an effect, just so that you practice. And obviously this will depend on the time of the year, right? However the Earth is oriented at the moment. Currently we're very close to the summer solstice, so we have a situation similar to this one. I can actually have the sunset set up, right? And turn towards the sun to see if we can catch it. And there it is. That's the sun right there. But the beauty of it is that we can turn on the sun path in Revit. So let's go to Revit. Let's go ahead and open our project. Let's go to a 3D view. Let's actually create a copy of this 3D view. So duplicate. Let's turn the section box off so we don't have anything bothering us. I'm going to rename it 3D Solar Study. Let's go ahead and turn on those mass elements that we created in the previous videos. So VG for visibility graphics override, and let's type the M for mass, turn it on. And now we can see that daycare center that we were talking about and that high-rise building that's gonna cast a little bit of shadow in our building. Now we wanna make sure we turn the shadows on, and this button right here. So make sure you don't have the X on it. Right, so we have our shadows on. Now you can see this tree is casting a little shadow here. This corner of the building is casting a shadow there. So it seems like this is in the morning, right, where the sun is somewhere over here. But the funny thing is that if I orbit my building, now I have the shadow pointing the other direction. So the sun's somewhere around here. So it's just a generic shadow to give a little bit of depth to your models, but that's not what we want. And one pretty cool thing you can do is you can come here where it says sun path and turn the sun path on. And now it gives me this dialog box, right? It's telling me that the sun will not display because relative to view is selected in the sun settings. What would you like to do? I know that what I want to do is use the specified project location, the location that we already gave the project in previous videos. But before doing that, I'm going to show you where that is located, right? If you come here to sun settings, that's where it is. See, relative to view. You can also see how it will behave at a different date. So you can grab your sun and just move it like this. And now we're going into August. You see down here, March 25th. can take it back, or I can simply type here, either type or just click here and then go, let's say, to July 4th of 2023 and hit enter, and then it takes me to that date at that time. So one thing you might want to do is, if you have this building and you're concerned about it, maybe you can grab the sun and just take it to the path that you're more concerned about, right, when it's going right on top of it, and then maybe drag it to an earlier time at sunrise. And since it's pretty dark, I'm going to change this to, let's say, hidden line, so it's black and white. You can clearly see the shadows here. Now, for some reason, massing elements don't cast shadows just like that, but if I click on it, I do see the behavior, right? I do see what effect it has on my model. And you can see that it does cast a huge shadow in our building, right? So if the building were to be shorter, right, then it would cast a smaller shadow in our building. But since this building is existing, I cannot touch it, right? I don't own the building. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that surrounding buildings do cast shadows. So that's going to affect lighting, and it's going to affect your cooling as well, right? And notice that if I change the sun to a different day, now my shadow obviously adjusts accordingly, right? So if I'm like here, then my shadow is going a little bit towards the south. Whereas if I'm all the way here, my shadow is angling more towards the north. All right, so I clean it up a little bit. Let's set up a single day study. So we come here to sun settings, single day, and then we're gonna keep the location, right? We're correct in that. And we're gonna do it for the 4th of July of 2023. And then the time I'm gonna do from sunrise to sunset to study the whole sun path. And then the time interval, 1 hour I think is too much. So let's put like 30 minutes, actually 15 minutes, right? And then our ground plane is gonna be level 1. So let's hit okay. Let's crop our view a little bit. We need to make our crop region visible. That way we can focus on what really matters. So now we're ready to export our animation. So we come here to File, Export, Images and Animation, Solar Study. I'm gonna keep the default, click OK. Now let's give it a name. Save. I'm gonna keep it uncompressed, and I'm gonna delete it anyway afterwards just to show you. Now we can see the shadows moving around as the video is exporting. Now let's open our animation to see how it turned out. Let's open it with Media Player. There you go. And if you had down on me before why the massing elements were not casting the shadow unless I was clicking on the element, and it's because they're set up to transparent somehow, right? You can tell that even if I change from shaded to, let's say, hidden line, you can still see the lines behind it, right? So let's go ahead and try to override that at the family level, because if I click on the mass, I don't see, you know, like mass materials. Like in some cases when you import the mass, you can just change the mass material here. But what I'm gonna do is edit the family. So edit family, and now inside of the family editor, I'm gonna tab select the mass, and I'm gonna come here to material, and you see how it's set up by category. I'm gonna change this, and I'm gonna set it up to, let's say, concrete. Let's say this one here, right? I'm gonna click OK, and now I'm gonna finish the mass. And now you can see how in our model that is casting a shadow even without clicking on the element. So I'm gonna do the same thing for this one. And there you go. Now they're both solid. And now let's re-export. Let's go to our sun settings first. And what I wanna do is a single day, sunrise to sunset. Okay. And now File, Export, Images and Animations, Solar Study. We're gonna keep the default, keep the same name. I'm gonna overwrite. That's okay as far as the compression. There you go. Let's take a look at our animation. That's a lot better. Now that our massing is projecting shadows, I can study a little bit better the situation in the morning, right? So you can see that our tall building is casting this huge shadow here. So we can plan for it. Around 10 a.m. already, I don't have the shadow anymore. And then in the afternoon, let's go all the way to sunset. See, like this other building is now affecting slightly, right? So let's see, there you go. There's a little bit of an effect. So we can design taking that into account.